Hello everybody, welcome back to Newegg TV. I'm Steve, and today joining us in our studio from Leap Motion, I have Chris Loeper. How are you today, sir?
How you doing, Steve? How are you?
I'm very well, thank you very much. And Avi Dabir, sir.
Nice
How
to see
are
you, Steve.
So, you two are very important people here at Leap Motion. Can you tell me what you guys do there?
So my name's Avi Dabir. I'm the Director of Developer Relations at Leap Motion.
Excellent.
And my name is Chris Loeper. I head up the global consumer business.
Excellent. Okay, and you two are obviously here to talk about the Leap Motion device here, which is actually really cool. Essentially, it's a motion capture device that allows you to interact with a three-dimensional volume. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah, it's basically a 2 by 2 by 2 inch area.
Okay.
Or foot area, excuse me.
Okay, yeah, I was going to say inch. That's not a lot of movement there. So what we want to actually do for you guys first is show you the device itself by doing a quick unboxing and kind of describe a little bit of the anatomy of it, and then you guys can kind of chime in with anything you want.
Great.
Sure.
So, okay, let me just move this one out of the way real quick. Of course, on the outside of the box, you see the name here. It's a sleeve all the way around, and I do want to mention that there is actually, let's see, I think it's about here. It is the minimum requirements for a particular system to utilize this device. So you're looking at Windows 8 or 7, Mac OS 10, Snow Leopard, I think you said 10.7 as well?
Yeah, 10.6, 10.7, 10.8.
Okay, perfect. You're going to need an AMD Phenom 2 or Intel Core i3, 2 gigabytes of RAM, a USB 2.0 port, an internet connection, the Leap Motion ID, and a free download from that particular setup website. So let me go ahead and open this up real quick so we can actually take a look at it. All right. So at the top here, it's actually telling you specifically to go to leapmotion.com/setup and actually set up that ID. Is that correct? You get yourself registered and whatnot there?
Yeah, so you type that into a browser, you know, sign up with your Airspace account. That's our app store where you can download all the great software that we have that works with the device. You'll download the drivers and everything that goes along with it for either your Mac or PC, and you're off and running and put right into an orientation that helps get you
perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, setup is about 5 minutes, probably less than 5 minutes to set it up.
Okay, and then it does some calibration and everything else in that too, right? So here we have just kind of a short manual, a little bit of a guide. I actually noticed some interesting things in here. First off, that it talks about the operating environment, also how to clean your controller, proper handling, and ergonomics. Now I'm curious, how do ergonomics come into play with something like this?
Right, so we recommend that you rest your hands in a comfortable position. You know, that position is going to be different for everyone else.
So something like
but you know, you got this 8 cubic foot space in front of you, so what we find that works really well is just having your elbows rested on your armrest or as well as on top of the table.
So either on the desk here or maybe on the armrest of the actual chair you're using with hovering over the device.
Exactly, so just like this.
And I also know that, actually I have one of these devices. I should mention that I've found that there are a couple apps where you actually just rest your hand right above it and just kind of move through the device itself and interact with, you know, a New York Times I think was one of them.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's really up to the developers to create the interaction that they feel is best fit for their app. You know, like you said, the New York Times, you know, you got a cup of coffee in your hand, you know, you want to browse through the top news, so it's just very easy to kind of eat food or whatever you're doing here and just kind of this lean back experience where you can navigate the news.
Flipping through pages and whatnot. Okay.
Exactly.
Well, I do want to mention too, you guys actually include 2 of your charging and data cables here. I think that's kind of interesting because one of them is clearly shorter than the other one, and I'm guessing that's just to give you kind of a cleaner connection if you had a laptop or...
Right, yeah, one is for a desktop PC that might be kind of on the floor, and one is for a laptop itself. So there's a short cable and a long cable, 6 foot and 3 foot.
Yeah, I was going to say it's clearly much longer than the other one, so I'll get these out of the way. And then on to the main event itself. Of course, another warning to let people know they do need to go to the actual website to sign up and get set up. Obviously, if you leave that on there, it's going to kind of disable the ability of this device to interact anyways, right? So important note, definitely remove that particular plastic. It's not going to keep it clean forever. It'll just confuse the device in general. Right. So behind this is actually, I don't know how well you can see because it is tinted, but there's a binocular camera set up inside there as well as LEDs, infrared LEDs if I'm not mistaken, right?
Correct.
To illuminate whatever your hands are doing in front of that particular space.
That's right. There's basically 2 cameras facing up and 3 LEDs, and you know the hardware itself, it's very beautiful. It looks, you know, some people say it looks Apple-like. The magic is really in the software itself. I mean, there's the code and the math that goes into the product is pretty remarkable. We've got some of the best mathematicians in the world that have helped build this, and we've been working on it for many, many years. So that's what's really exciting, is really the software.
Yeah, and because it's very much software driven, anytime we make improvements, you don't have to buy a new device, right? We just push it through the internet to your computer, and your device becomes better, and we're continuously improving it. So at a regular basis, it's always improving.
Nice. Okay, so let me just show you the rest of the device here. We do have, of course, the LED here on the front letting you know that this device is powered and operational. On the other side here, we do have a micro USB port providing power and data connection to your computer. On the bottom, we just have a rubberized base that's apparently pretty non-stick, just keep the device from moving around. Not that there really would be a great need. It's so small that it's not going to be moving around, I imagine, very much in general. So it would just kind of sit like that on your desk, and you'd interact above it up to, what was it, 2 by 2 by 2?
Correct.
So, okay, excellent.
8 cubic feet.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, a lot of people think of us, they refer to us as kind of a Microsoft Connect type product, but with Microsoft Connect, we call it gorilla arms. It's a lot of movement. With us and Leap Motion controllers, it's very slight precision. So it's very small movements and very high precision accuracy. So, so it's not a big workout. So you're not working out when you're playing games, you're creating music. It's all very precise, right over the device, very easy to do.
Okay.
And we'll show you a demo of all the details of how that works.
Yeah, definitely. We do want to see this in action, and I know you guys have brought quite a few little things to show us, so that looks good. Now, as far as Leap Motion, the company, is concerned, what's going on with this particular product? This is the first product you guys have pushed out, is that right? That's
correct. I mean, our big vision is breaking down the barriers between computers and people. So with our first device, obviously, it's very immersive. You'll see demos today where we can go in and show, basically, Google Earth is a good example where you can fly around the world with your hand. It's all about doing that. Today, it's with, obviously, computers, Macs, and PCs. But as the future goes on, it could be cars, it could be machines, it could be robotics. So basically, we set up the company in 3 different divisions. There's about 90 of us in San Francisco. We've been working on this product for about 2 years now. And the 3 divisions are the consumer division, which I'm responsible for, about getting products into retail stores around the world. We have a corporate government and education division that sells into schools. You can imagine this would be a great educational tool for dissecting frogs. We've seen all sorts of crazy skull stuff. And the 3rd division is about embedding it into technology. So we've announced our HP announcement, where HP is actually going to embed the product inside the laptops and PCs.
Oh, no kidding.
And we'll see that this year, actually. Later this year, they'll be launching. We've also partnered with Asus. So you'll see devices with embedded solutions as well as standalone solutions.
So what's the target audience you guys are actually going for with this? Because this is semi-niche, right? I mean, essentially, how often are you going to ever feel the need to kind of interact with a PC like this? So who are you looking for with this?
Yeah, I mean, our target audience is essentially anybody with a PC and Mac, and that's what's great. A lot of us have computers sitting around, and how often do you go out and buy new peripherals for them? Probably pretty rarely. This is the kind of device, everybody's got a computer, and there's lots of different apps, and Avi's going to talk about our App Store strategy, but we've got apps for everybody, whether it's Cut the Rope for kids or even me, because I like that game. But also, you can make music. You can play harp. You can play harps. You can mold clay. You can draw. And there's a lot of great games. So we think there's, in our App Store airspace, we think there's apps for everybody, which is great.
Yeah, I actually want to try and three-dimensional design some things. That's the primary reason why I got it, because I find that the interaction with the mouse is just sort of clumsy and slow. I wanted to be able to just grab an object and almost, for lack of a better word, sculpt it. I mean, that'd be great to be able to do something like that. At the very least, to be able to interact with it, move and zoom out just really quickly and just kind of get into the small part. I mean, I know later we're actually going to have a video of something concerning that, right?
Yeah, I mean, last week, Elon Musk did a video where he actually designed a rocket part and using the Leap Motion controller, and then sent it off to a 3D titanium printer to print out the rocket part at SpaceX. So, a lot of the people around CAD and design are really, really excited about some pretty breakthrough technology with Leap Motion.
Okay, great. So I know Newegg is carrying this particular product. How is the launch going so far?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, we're really excited to be, you guys are our exclusive reseller for us this year, which is great for the United States.
Thank you.
Which is big, and I've been a long-time Newegg fan. I've built, overclocked, and liquid cooled multiple PCs thanks to Newegg. So
that's awesome.
You guys are great. So we're happy to
video on that.
Exactly. Totally happy to be here. But yeah, we picked you guys. You guys have a great demographic for what we're doing. We definitely think that everybody, at least your user base, would have a use for this.
Definitely.
The launch is going great. We're shipping into 125 countries already. So a small little company out of San Francisco to be shipping that wide, it's pretty impressive. We've shipped hundreds of thousands of pre-orders already, and the launch continues just to go remarkable. And what's really exciting about the product is, as Avi mentioned, it's really about the software, and we're going to continue to push new updates and new apps. So today you have about 100 apps in airspace, but you know, as time goes on, there'll be quite a bit more. So the future is really, really interesting.
Awesome.
Yeah, I mean, the key points being one, there's something for everyone. You know, with 125 countries, there's a global reach, and we're continuing to improve everything, and it's getting better and better, and it's already doing quite well. So we're very excited where our trajectory is going.
That's great.
Yeah, one more thing I'd add to that is, you know, it's basically people love us or they hate us. People that maybe don't love us are the guys that think they could go in and do Microsoft Excel right out of the gate. And frankly, you know, maybe someday you'll be able to do that, but today you still need your mouse and keyboard. And people ask me all the time, they said, you know, it's not easy for me to jump in and control everything on your computer. But, you know, when you got your first keyboard, you weren't typing 60 words a minute, right, when you first got it. So there's definitely a learning curve. We're seeing a lot of apps from the developers coming in to allow you to control your computer. But I think as time goes on, it's only going to get more interesting. So I guess my response to a lot of people that want to go and do that, I think it'll take time for that.
Okay, perfect.
It's another tool in your tool belt, right? You know, you got a screwdriver, you got a hammer, you know, you got a ruler, right? So this is just another tool. You got your keyboard, your mouse, and now you have motion control that'll unlock things that those other things weren't able to do so well.
Perfect. Now, Avi, I know that you're in charge of developer relations. So how are the development, or how does that play a huge part in Leap Motion? Because I'm sure it is huge.
Oh yeah, it's been fantastic. We have an amazing developer community. They're very much, we consider them a part of our team. You know, we're 90 people, and you know, we can do a certain amount of work, but having this large community pushes it even further and faster. And you know, they surprise you. You know, they're thinking of things that maybe we're not, and they're helping us with our SDK, improving the features, and really just building a variety of experiences in multiple categories, whether it's art and design, music, education, games, whatever it is. They're pushing it further and faster, just like we expected, and hope that they continue to do.
Well, I imagine any developer stepping in, you guys have just developed this product. I mean, this is ground zero, right? So anybody who wanted to jump in there, this is the perfect time to do it, I imagine. I mean, myself, I don't program. I'm actually really poor at it. The few times I've attempted it. But I can imagine the excitement around it, because here it is. Anything you can imagine that would interact your hands with your PC or your Mac, I guess, in general, would be an exciting new topic to
absolutely, and you know, and they're jumping on board with that. The opportunity to be first is always big, and because we support a multitude of languages in our SDK, C++, C#, Java, Python, Objective-C, JavaScript as well if you're a web developer. It attracts a lot of interesting and talented folks. And we want to just keep that barrier to jump on as low as possible, so a lot of people can just really dive in there. And it's not too late, Steve. There's still time.
You can do it.
Yeah, about that, no. But I do want to mention this is something great. So what's the next step? I mean, what's the future that anybody who has Leap Motion or looking to get one?
So I mean, we have a wide, diverse, talented pool of developers. You know, we're north of 50,000 people who have signed up to be part of the developer program. We have over 100 apps in the App Store right now, and we've done over 1 million downloads in just the first 3 weeks since we launched. So
that's remarkable.
It's just ramping up faster and faster, and the great thing about software is it always gets better. You know, and this community challenges one another. So if somebody puts out one thing, then somebody ups the ante, and it just gets better and better and better. You know, software is continuously improving, and we'll just continue to see that at an interesting pace, a very fast paced.
Yeah, and I think the hardware will evolve as well. I mean, we've got, you know, for the HP execution, we've got a very small version of the Leap Motion controller that'll be embedded, like I said, inside the monitors and keyboards. So the hardware will be not just inside computers, but in other products as well. Cars, you name it, we're talking to a lot of these big companies.
I can imagine in a car, that would be great. Yeah, especially.
I can't wait to get one of those cars so I can control it.
Okay, so exciting stuff. Enough talking. Let's see it in action. Can we do that?
Yep, let's do it.
All right, so here we have the Diagnostic Visualizer that comes available with the software. And it's a great tool to really see how the technology works. And I'm going to walk you through some of the steps here. So you can see what the device is tracking. It's tracking 2 hands, 10 fingers, very accurately, very fast. You can see I'm moving my hands all around, and it's keeping up. It's keeping up with me. So the cylinders represent my fingertips and fingers, and the circles represent my palm positions. And so what it's tracking is this 2 by 2 by 2 foot cubic space. You can see I can bring my hands out, really put it into this space as well, bring it out wide, out high, and What it's doing is it's tracking my fingertip positions and palm points and providing the XYZ coordinates for where it is in the space, as well as the speed that it's traveling and the direction. You can see here that it's moving very fast. This is the latency shown there at the bottom. And this is all done in 3D space. So reaching in, reaching out, rotating my hands around. And this is the data that developers use to create the applications and software that's available in our app store called Airspace.
Another thing I can do is if you have a tool, like here's a chopstick, I can add that in here, and you see it noticed by the gray tool mark, and it can actually sense the angle of the tool. So I can be up, down.
It's even trying to sense your hand, I can see.
Yeah, I can when I get my hand in there, it goes there. So essentially no latency. As fast as I'm moving it, it keeps up with you.
And the great thing about having a tool is now you can map that to certain actions. You know, for example, we return the width as well as the length of the tool. So you can have different width tools, and one could be red, one could be blue, and that's what you paint with, or that's what you color with.
Nice.
And we think that's a very interesting idea and use case that some of our developers are using.
Basketball.
Okay, so basically now you guys had the Airspace, which is your app store, is that right?
You got it. So airspace.leapmotion.com is where you go to find all the great software that works for the Leap Motion controller. You can see here we have all these tiles laid out of all variety of apps. What I'm going to do here is jump into Drop Chord, which is a great game made by the folks over at Double Fine, a studio founded by Tim Schafer. So we've been working with these guys for about 6 months prior to launch. You know, they're just down the street from us, and it's a music-based rhythm game here. So what I'm doing is I'm moving my fingers up and down, looking to collect the circles and avoid the X's.
Nice.
And
it reminds me a lot of Beat Hazard, but in this weird three-dimensional space that you're interacting with.
Oh yeah, and it's super fun, super responsive.
Great music.
Yeah, 10 original tracks. You know, and it dynamically changes based on how you continue to progress through the game. You see I'm in the bonus round here.
Nice.
So now you're just tripping out?
Yeah.
He's got the best job in the company. He plays games constantly at the office. That's all he does.
Nice.
But,
so essentially your axes, or I guess the, oh wow, this is totally different. What is this?
Yeah, so each level has a different little twist to it. You can see I can push my fingers back and forth. And in this one, you're just putting fingers in.
So one finger there, two fingers there.
2 fingers there.
3 fingers there.
You got 5 in one hand, but you're going to use one from the other. I like that.
That's very cool.
So a totally different style of gameplay now.
Right.
Yeah, it's all about speed and precision, isn't it?
I wonder what Key from VGHS would think of this game. I don't know, you guys watch that?
All right, nice job.
What I'm going to show you next here is an app called CyberScience 3D, a great application that really shows you how to move objects in 3D space, and also demonstrates a very strong use case for us in education.
Okay, so basically it's an educational app utilizing specifically a skull?
Okay.
Correct.
Yeah, so we've seen a lot of interest from schools around the country. You name it, they've reached out for these kind of apps to be actually brought into the curriculum. So the dissection of frogs, anatomy, you name it, and this is an example of the human skull.
All right. So you can rotate it around, pull it up close, really inspect it, get in there, you know, rotate it. And this just makes learning much more interesting. You know, it's much more interactive than just flipping a page in a book.
Yeah, I can imagine. Especially if you were going to have to draw something like that without having to have, you know, 50 skulls in a classroom. You could just put this together and have every student kind of look at it, interact with it their own way.
Go inside. Can you go inside there?
Really get in there, check out his teeth.
There you go. Nice.
And this app has a whole sort of game element to it where you can dissect the skull, take it apart, put it back together.
Wow.
So you can see I can point to sort of what each one of these bones are. Temporal bone, it's a good bone. What I'm going to show you here is navigating Google Earth just by using your hand motions, right? So we've been working with Google for a very long time, 6 months or so, I'd say. I'm going to zoom into... Oop.
This is another one of those practical everyday use cases as people use Google Earth. You can do this with a mouse today, but it's obviously not as entertaining than flying through the world with your hands. So obviously,
South America.
Where do you want to go, Avi?
Let's go to New York.
Good idea.
I'm pretty comfortable with.
It's your old stomping grounds.
Yeah, the old hood.
Oh, there's Long Island.
And Long Island.
Coming
Zoom
in
right
smooth.
into there.
You're coming in hot, Avi. You're coming in hot.
Flatten
Don't
out a little
crash.
bit. Yeah.
Oh wow.
You can see these 3D buildings being rendered. There's Battery Park City down there.
And don't hit the building.
Yeah.
Fly above the buildings. It's Brooklyn to the right. Over here in Midtown.
Nice.
And, you know,
Central Park.
yeah, why not go to the park?
That's a good call.
Yeah.
So as you can see, every slight movement of your hand is obviously moving it very, very precisely. Now I'm going to show you a very advanced game. This is a very, very difficult game. It's called Fruit Ninja. It's one of my favorites. It's actually my 6-year-old daughter's very favorite game. So in the spirit of Fruit Ninjas, I have got my chopstick here. So what I'll do is I'll just start, and we will slice some fruit using a chopstick. So again, you can see as fast as I'm moving my chopstick in this case, total accuracy and no latency. So I'm slicing fruit really quick. I can use my finger. But again, this is a lot more fun than getting fingerprints on my iPad.
Totally.
And it's very addicting as well.
This app does a great job of showing scale. You know, your slight finger movements can cover the whole screen. You know, when you think about sort of touch environments, if you want to swipe from the top corner to the bottom, you got to make that full one-to-one interaction.
So just another use case of a real simple, casual game that's a lot more fun than using this.
Well, you could use the mouse still. You just hover it right over it, right? I'm making a joke. You lift it up in 3D.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah. Oh, it still does it. Oh, wow.
Here we go. Here's the Leap Motion mouse-controlled Fruit Ninja.
Another really popular app that's doing pretty well in the store is this application called GameWave.
This game, GameWave, is doing really well for mapping key gestures to like World of Warcraft, Battlefield 3. Any game, any app, you can actually map gestures to the key in the mouse.
Nice.
So that was pretty cool.
You know, I just have a question. Do you guys have anything set up or in the works right now with the developer where you could interact with like a VoIP-based system, like let's see, Mumble, TeamSpeak, or you know, anything like that?
Yeah, so what's cool about this app is actually it can map to any app you've got already. So if you wanted to start speaking, you could do it like a quick swipe or any kind of hand gesture to start it and stop it.
Oh, okay.
In the middle of the game. So it's
Nice.
instead of doing Alt-Tab and trying to go out to different apps, you can actually do that with simple gestures.
Because basically the gesture is mapped to a keystroke.
Totally.
Is that the idea? Okay.
It's
so
a
then,
keystroke, a mouse button, a mouse click, and actually applications itself.
Nice. So if you're in Ventrilo or whatever, I could just, you know, because a lot of times people don't want to have to hold down a button. If it was just a real quick swipe off the side of the keyboard, or even hit it with my elbow even, some kind of an interaction would be great just to have something else. I don't know. I'm just thinking to myself, another use case scenario that might be untapped. So.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we've seen people control their Windows apps with it. There's just a lot of use case for gaming. And we actually have a whole genre on Airspace for these types of basically control type apps that are coming out every week or so. So that's what's really exciting about the platform. It continues to get better and better as these new apps come in. A lot of people are just buying Leap Motion Controller just for GameWave.
Nice.
A lot of the World of Warcraft guys are using it to map different spells and things like that. And it's really cool. So the future looks pretty bright.
Excellent. Well, let's see some of it in action.
So here's an example of a user playing World of Warcraft. He's actually casting spells with his left hand, a fire spell in this case. And you can see him doing that there. He's ignited it. Now he's going to, there he goes. He's doing it now. So again, he's mapped the key commands to a hand gesture using GameWave, and this has been a really popular use case for GameWave and Leap Motion Controller. So here's an example of the Mac and PC GameWave app for Leap Motion Controllers, and this is basically binding hand movement, so you're actually part of the game in this case with Skyrim, basically moving the mouse with your hands. So he just bound the mouse axes as well as I think buttons as well with the hand gestures to GameWave.
Now he could essentially, I'm just asking, could he essentially just make any kind of hand motion he wants to to utilize, said spell
Yes.
by putting it to whatever button is that and whatever button is this, and then just make that. Okay, so he can make a completely custom hand gesture.
Totally, it's all macro based. It's a key binding as well as a mouse binding. So he's doing spells there. So now he's actually casting spells with his hand. That's the closest thing to reality there.
Right.
So pretty cool.
Nice. All right, so this looks pretty cool right here, and I know I saw it flip through a couple times. What is Blue Estate?
Yeah, so Blue Estate is this first-person shooter that's exclusive to Leap Motion. We've been working with these guys for some time now. We're very excited to announce it. It's a dark comedy, going to be a great app. I'm going to quickly show you the trailer here. You can see, you really get the sense of being the character.
That's his hair. That's his long hair. I wish my hair would grow.
Yeah.
His hair
swipe the hair up.
Yeah, you don't need a gun, Tony. You're an angel of murder.
So the idea is he like brushes the hair out of his face while he's playing?
Exactly, and you're this character who's walking through this club, finding revenge. It's very, very funny, extremely comical. The artwork is fantastic. This was originally a comic book, and they've moved it over to a game now.
Nice. Okay guys, that pretty much wraps up this video, and I want to thank you guys so much for coming in. I think the Leap Motion is really exciting. I think it's going to be great, and I can't wait to see what happens next.
Thanks so much,
So thank you again, Avi and Chris, for coming in. If you guys like this video, go ahead and click the like button. If you haven't already done so, click subscribe, and we'll see you guys soon.